Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are unpacking a massive technological leap that is quite literally reshaping the digital landscape as we know it. We're going to be looking really closely at a comprehensive analysis by Dr. Rahul Karat on Anthropic's Claude Mythos. Now, if you follow this stuff, you're probably familiar with the Claude family of AI models, right? You know, they're generally designed to be helpful, honest, and harmless. But Mythos? Mythos is a completely different beast. It is not just another chatbot sitting there waiting for your next prompt. It's a paradigm-shifting autonomous agent with massive real-world implications. It acts as a dual-edged sword of artificial intelligence, bringing us unprecedented capabilities for sure, but also introducing some incredibly serious threats.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Claude Mythos is defined as a super-intelligent AI system capable of understanding, discovering, and even exploiting digital systems. I really want to emphasize that last word, exploiting. That immediately establishes the incredibly high stakes we're dealing with today. We aren't just talking about, generating an email or summarizing a PDF anymore. We are talking about an active, operational intelligence that can uncover hidden flaws in software and literally figure out how to take advantage of them.
So here is our roadmap for the explainer. We'll start by officially meeting Claude Mythos. Then we'll break down its 3 core pillars and explore its incredible cybersecurity superpower. From there, we'll see how this is transforming global banking, and we'll wrap up with a really crucial case study on the impact it's having on the Indian banking sector.
All right, part 1, meet Claude Mythos. Like I mentioned, Anthropic engineered the original Claude AI to be super safe and aligned with human intentions. But as Dr. Karat's analysis points out, Mythos represents a massive, massive leap forward in capability, and because of that, a huge leap in risk.
And this brilliantly illustrates that exact shift. Think about your standard, older AI models. They basically act as assistants. They passively wait for your command, they answer your question, and then they just stop. Claude Mythos, on the other hand, operates as an autonomous agent. It possesses deep reasoning and high-context memory. This means it can process massive documents, build its own autonomous reasoning chains, and actually execute complex multi-step tasks totally on its own. It doesn't just tell you a vulnerability exists, it can independently figure out how to detect it and, theoretically, how to interact with it.
So how exactly does an AI transition from being a simple passive tool to an active operational intelligence? That brings us to Section 2, the 3 core pillars.
These are the conceptual foundations driving Mythos. First, we have constitutional AI. Second, agentic intelligence, which is that wild ability we just talked about to handle huge contexts and solve problems using chain-of-thought logic. And third, a cybersecurity-centric design. Mythos was built specifically, right from the ground up, to analyze legacy systems, detect vulnerabilities, and simulate cyber attacks. It's a highly specialized piece of engineering. Let's look at the critical safety mechanism holding this whole thing together: constitutional AI. This is a framework where the AI is guided by a literal ethical rulebook, a constitution, focused entirely on safety and alignment. And this guardrail is absolutely crucial. Because Mythos has such immense power and can independently execute multi-step reasoning, without an ironclad ethical constitution in place, its ability to generate code exploits could so easily go off the rails and cause catastrophic damage. In fact, these capabilities are so advanced that Anthropic has placed Mythos under a strictly restricted access model. It is not publicly released. Because of the immense security risks involved here, it's currently only available to select organizations. We are essentially discussing military-grade technological power. The risk of this falling into the wrong hands is just way too great for an open release.
Which naturally leads us to Section 3, the cybersecurity superpower. This is exactly where Mythos becomes highly controversial.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it lays out the dual-use technology risk. Look at the stark contrast here. On the defense side, Mythos is a cybersecurity team's dream come true. It detects unknown flaws, those dreaded zero-day vulnerabilities, and helps secure weak legacy systems. But look at the attack side. For the AI to know how to secure a system, it inherently has to know how to break it. Mythos can generate actual working code exploits and simulate highly sophisticated cyber attacks. So it can protect networks, or it can chain vulnerabilities together into real autonomous attacks.
And that dual-use nature creates some incredibly sobering threats. As Dr. Karat's research outlines, if Mythos, or a system similar to it, were misused by hackers, the consequences would be severe. We are looking at AI-generated zero-day exploits, autonomous attack chains that require absolutely zero human oversight, massive data privacy risks, and ultimately, systemic financial risk. A malicious actor with this kind of operational intelligence could literally disrupt global networks and trigger massive financial instability.
And speaking of financial instability, let's jump to Section 4, Transforming Global Banking. The global finance sector is precisely where these high stakes are playing out right now.
On paper, the utopian promise of Mythos for banks is nothing short of incredible. Just imagine an AI agent performing real-time fraud prevention, catching anomalies the literal second they happen. It offers advanced predictive risk analytics to stress test entire financial systems. It automates loan processing and compliance reporting, and significantly enhances cybersecurity to protect our digital transactions. For banks, this means sky-high efficiency, drastically lower operational costs, and a vastly better experience for the customer.
But, we have to pivot back to reality for a second, because the actual adoption rate is quite cautious right now. And why is that? Look at these barriers. Deploying an AI of this magnitude involves extremely high technical complexity and rising infrastructure costs. Plus, there's a severe skill gap. Banks are desperately short of the AI and cybersecurity experts needed to actually manage a system like this. Add in the lack of clear global AI regulations and some really deep ethical questions surrounding autonomous systems, and you can totally see why financial institutions are weighing these massive rewards against some very heavy costs.
To truly anchor these abstract concepts, we need to look at a rapidly digitizing reality. So, Section 5, Impact on Indian Banking.
The Indian banking sector is the perfect case study because it sits at this fascinating intersection of hyper-modern digital infrastructure and older, vulnerable legacy systems. Let's weigh the impacts here. On the positive side, India's unbelievable digital growth, driven by things like the UPI payment network and a booming fintech scene, could be massively accelerated by Mythos. It could drive rural financial inclusion and completely automate complex RBI compliance audits. But let's look at the negative impacts column. A lot of Indian banks still rely on aging legacy systems with pretty weak cybersecurity layers. A Mythos-level attack on those systems could be devastating, exposing highly sensitive financial data. Add to that a severe deficit in AI talent and a regulatory framework that just isn't fully ready for autonomous AI, and you've got a real challenge on your hands.
So, the crucial point is this. Mythos serves as a massive wake-up call. To survive and thrive in this new AI landscape, the source analysis outlines the exact strategic moves that India, and really any rapidly digitizing nation, must take. They absolutely must strengthen their cybersecurity infrastructure, develop robust, modern AI governance frameworks, invest heavily in training AI and cybersecurity professionals, and actively encourage responsible AI adoption.
Which brings us to the ultimate question we have to ask ourselves as we look at all of this. If AI is no longer just a tool that sits there waiting for our command, but an autonomous system capable of multi-step reasoning and generating cyber exploits, who is ultimately in control? As we start handing over the keys to our financial systems, this geopolitical AI competition highlights an urgent, undeniable need for global AI governance.
Because that is the reality of Claude Mythos. It represents a fundamental turning point in history. The paradigm has completely shifted from AI as a simple tool to AI as an autonomous system with real-world operational intelligence. It gives us unprecedented capabilities in reasoning and automation, sure, but it introduces threats we have quite literally never faced before. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you next time as we continue to unpack the ideas shaping our world.